Welcome back. Today we are continuing our journey on doing some horror films, and today we are visiting a classic horror film. Today we're doing The Exorcist from 1973. Just to preface this, Holden's
what?
A little hesitant about this film. He has a little bit of trauma, which he's going to tell you about. I have assured him everything's gonna be fine. It's daylight. He's gonna have me right next to him. He's got his Bibles.
Plural.
Everything is gonna be fine. So this movie, I know that there's been a lot of controversy about it since it pretty much was released, probably even beforehand. I have read that Linda Blair was receiving death threats. It turns out the studio had to have security for her 6 months after the movie was released. Wow. I know in a lot of countries, this movie was completely barred. So it's definitely a controversial film. I have seen this movie. It's been a long time since I've seen it. I do remember it being absolutely terrifying, and I think most people still regard it as that. Definitely Holden. Holden has not seen it all the way through, but tell me, what have you seen and what are your thoughts going into it?
I'm like legit freaked out. So here's the thing. I know that I've probably seen scarier stuff than this, whether it's slasher movies or other spiritual possessions, conjurings, type of that. I'm sure I have. The thing about this movie, even looking at like the thumbnail, like I straight up literally have goosebumps right now. I'm really freaked out. I was trying to get my sister to make a Zoom appearance for the intro for this, but she's too busy out in Boston working at the hospital to save people's lives, so she couldn't be here and make an appearance. But my sister and my father used to watch this movie constantly. We talked about it a little bit in a Patreon exclusive that we did, where we were just talking about our experience with horror movies and whatnot for the month of October. But when I was a little lad, I would go from my room into like the kitchen to grab my snacks and whatnot, and I'd see this girl's face, and I'd just like her crawling, backwards, or just the way that they did the makeup or the prosthetics or something. And I think it straight up actually traumatized me. I was horrified by it. It is the reason I never watched rated R movies until I was into my teens. It's the reason why a lot of those early 2000s rated R movies I have not seen, because this I associated with being rated R. And I was like, if this is rated R, I don't want to watch rated R movies. So it absolutely terrified me. And I think that if it were any other movie that was scary for the time at the age at which I had seen it, I don't remember how old I was, but I was definitely too young to have seen those images. I probably would have the same effect. See, I'm already getting just like freaked. I already tell. Somebody in that Patreon exclusive video that we did commented asking if they thought that I had a fear of these movies involving supernatural stuff because of my religious beliefs. And I don't think so. I think it all stems from the feeling of being powerless without control. When Jen and I were talking, what do we find scarier, like a murderer, like a Michael Myers, or like a spiritual being? And some people were like, spiritual beings I don't believe in, they're not real, so I'm not really scared of that. It doesn't really scare me, but I can't fight a person. And I'm more like, well, I can fight a person, but what can I do if I'm just like levitating and being dropped? But I don't think it's actually the spirituality of it. I think it's the feeling of being powerless. That's why I'm terrified of flying a plane, because if that plane goes down, there's nothing I can do, I just die. I'm really nervous about it. I had nightmares about this for years, honestly, the girl's face in particular. I used to imagine Goku flying in. I'd get these like images in my head as a kid. I'd imagine Goku flying in and just like blasting the little exorcist girl with energy beams, and then he would turn into the exorcist girl, and then I'd have like another Goku that was really Goku coming. So I'd have to like, it's how I built like these mental protections. So I'm absolutely terrified to watch this. I'm really scared, I'm not gonna lie. So that's where I'm at.
Legit, I have never seen Holden this apprehensive / scared / terrified. It's taken me a lot to get him to actually sit down and commit to it, because this morning we got up and numerous times he's like, I don't know if I could do this. I don't know if I could do this. I've never seen him react that way. It's gonna be fine. He's gonna face his fears and we're going to join him. But before we go ahead and get into that, we're gonna do the comment of the day.
That was a good one.
Like gonna do your seizure. All right, so this was on Bumblebee from 1.5 Gamer, who says, unless I'm mistaken, I don't think you've gone through the Craig era Bond movies. So definitely a movie series worth adding to your Patreon votes if they aren't there already. Funny you should mention that. We just put a poll on Patreon today for our next movie series, and I believe the Craig Bond movies are on there, and it's actually #1 right now. We're gonna let it go for a couple days and see who the winner is right now, but there's a whole bunch of movies on there, so if you want to have a say in what we do next, you can go to Patreon and go ahead and vote. Thank you for that, and anything else?
I really hope so. Just come up with something, I don't know. Oh yeah, there's one other thing. That reminds me, the reason we're watching this is because we put it on a poll on Patreon of movies that I haven't seen. It was like 1 among 5 or 6. And everyone voted for well, not everyone, but The Exorcist won. So the reason I'm having to endure this childhood trauma is because of people who voted on Patreon. So if you want to have the power to mess with my childhood trauma, check out Patreon. All the patrons, I think, have access to the polls. So even if you're like the lowest tier, you'll still get to vote.
I'm really gonna pay for this later because I'm very much like, yeah, let's do The Exorcist. And Holden's like, ooh. So we're gonna go ahead and get into it. We're gonna be here with Holden. He's gonna need a lot of emotional support, obviously very traumatized. So I'm gonna be there with him, holding his hand, and maybe even staying up with him tonight when he has those nightmares. So check back later to see the cost of him watching this movie. It's gonna be fun, it's gonna be fine. So let's go ahead and get into it, The Exorcist. Not once has he ever grabbed a blanket. And now all of a sudden for The Exorcist, you're chilly?
Look, I know we have fun on the channel, we have fun watching stuff. This legit, I think, gave me childhood trauma.
Are you sure you can do it? I don't want you.
I think I can. I actually am legit scared. I think I'm gonna get through it because I know a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. I know that that's prosthetics. I know it's pea soup. I know practically how they did everything from the filmmaking lens. So I'm gonna really do that to try to hold like reality. This is not real.
Well,
it's not happening.
Keep in mind, I don't remember most of this movie either. So we're in this together.
People died in the theaters watching this. At least 4 people died.
That's not important.
If you're expecting this reaction to be something we're just like, oh yeah, no, I might have to, I'll probably be making jokes throughout as part of my coping mechanism. So I'm gonna do, it is what it is, guys.
All right, are you ready?
I guess. You know, this is good. This is called exposure therapy. Warner Brothers, we're gonna get flagged for this video. So the director of this movie, he made a documentary years later about real life possessions. It's really bizarre, really silly. John Tron did a great video on it. You know this movie's cursed, right? A lot of weird things happened on set. You know that, right?
It's just a coincidence.
Me after this movie. Man's got a snake for a peen.
Are you okay?
I'm good.
Just squeeze my hand if you get
Okay,
scared.
I got it. Is this just like a demon, or is this supposed to be like Satan?
We don't have to watch and find out. Who's to say?
Oh. Doesn't somebody get thrown out that window? I think I remember seeing that.
Lawrence.
I just heard them, girl.
Maybe plumbing?
Well, why are they tearing the building down?
I don't remember any of this.
Looks like a lot like Halloween.
Classic.
It's not a day in my life that I don't feel like a fraud.
Mom, you should have seen this man came along on this beautiful gray horse. Come back, you
The Coca-Cola logo is still exactly the same.
Could you help an old older boy? I'm a Catholic.
I mean, is that, nah, I'm good.
Hey, man!
Mama.
Shoot me.
Mama, I could take you somewhere where you'd be safe, you wouldn't be alone. People around, you know, you wouldn't be sitting here listening to a radio.
You worry for something.
No, Mama.
You are not happy.
Mama, I'm all right, I'm fine. Really, I am.
I love ping pong.
Hey, where'd this come from?
Oh, here we go.
It's okay, baby. You're gonna do just fine.
Well, let's both play.
Oh, here we go.
You really don't want me to play, huh?
No, I do. Captain Howdy said no.
Who's Captain Howdy?
You know, I make the questions and he does the answers.
Well, maybe he's sleeping.
You think?
What are we going to do on your birthday? Isn't it nice it's on Sunday this year?
Can priests drink alcohol?
Sure. Alcohol's not a sin, despite what the Baptists say. Jesus' first miracle was turning water into wine at a Jewish wedding. And they said that stuff was lit. I'm paraphrasing, but...
I need out. I'm unfit. I think I've lost my faith, Tom.
Oh, come on.
No, operator, don't tell me there's no answer. It's the Hotel Excelsior, and for Christ's sake,
Oh.
don't tell me to be close, goddammit!
Me with
It's been
AT&T.
for 20 minutes!
God, phones were so obnoxious back then. Having that right by your ear, right in the middle of your REM cycle.
My bed was shaking.
Oh, there we go. You know, it reminds me of Fox. No, Fox having these nightmares coming into our room.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen all this stuff before, you know, but for some reason this...
I don't remember any of this. I think I only remember her when she's like in full.
Full possessed form.
Yeah.
Looks like that attic's already well lit.
I would never do this in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
Ever.
why's she going up there? She heard something?
I think she thinks it's rats.
Oh, I haven't gotten it. I like in The Conjuring when Ed Warren's putting like crucifixes all around.
Smells nice.
Oh, Carl.
That was a cool effect, though. Does the statue of Mary like cry blood in this? Do I remember seeing that from this?
Honestly, I don't remember.
I don't like that.
You wasn't a pretty be famous psychiatrist now, Park Avenue. Your mother, she be living in a penthouse instead of the...
Well, what are you doing, man? Your family, too. Putting that all on him. This brings me back to when I worked at the psych hospital. We didn't have the beds out in the open like that, though.
Oh,
Ma.
Oh,
She's in restraints?
Couldn't you put us someplace else?
Restraints are a big deal today. The few times we had to do them at the hospital were very rare,
right.
very frowned upon.
Yeah, I don't think it was as big of a deal then.
Got stabbed with a pin there. That's a true story. The Holden lore grows.
Listen, if you ever go up there again, will you take me on the...
Honey, are you okay?
Yeah.
Love you.
Love you. Now this is a party.
What's for dessert?
I wonder if there's something in the movie narrative about why this girl was chosen. It's fine.
I'll be right back.
You think you could bring me a snack? Oh my God. Oh!
What is it?
This girl said you're gonna die, and then she started peeing on the carpet.
Well, when you have to go, you gotta go.
Come on, Basti.
Why are you torturing that
I
little
was hoping
angel?
she was gonna jump up here.
Is it coming out, Willie?
Yes, I think so.
Oh no.
Oh, nice saying that. Clean up your own stuff.
You okay?
Yeah, I remember seeing that scene, you know. I know it's just like hydraulics are moving the bed and whatnot. Good acting.
It's gonna be okay, babe.
I like this priest guy. Hope he gets things figured out.
Oh no, Ma.
Oh, is she dying? Is that what this is? See, that's what my experience in the psych hospital was.
I am not worthy to receive you. Only
Say the word and I shall be healed.
Symptom.
Different times, man. Different times.
Convulsion. A convulsion. Shaking in the bed.
I got on the bed. The whole bed was thumping.
And look, Doc, I really don't understand how her whole personality could change.
It's not doing a good job of making it, not running down. Ooh.
They couldn't put her under for this?
I wonder if it's still done this way. This seems to be really messy. Finally, what's... Different times, man. Different times.
I mean, even if they were going to keep her awake, they would relax her.
There's nothing there. No vascular displacement at all.
Dr. Klein,
Yes, I'm Dr. Klein.
things have gotten worse since I phoned you. I think you're going upstairs.
Did you give her the medication I gave you?
Yes.
Jane?
What is it? What's happening? Stop! It's burning!
You okay?
Oh, her throat.
Oh, I remember that part.
We need to get the priest in here now. Yeah, let's get the mom out of here.
Pathological states can induce abnormal strength.
Still think the temporal lobe.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Keep any drugs in your house?
No.
So I don't even smoke crabs.
Different times, man.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy, here we go. It's cold, yep. Cut a light on, Ma.
It's okay, baby.
I'll get the priest in here, please. Make it nice and toasty under there.
Didn't know. Tell me. What's Bert got to do?
I had him stay with her and...
Haven't heard. He must have been drunk. He fell down from the top of the steps right outside.
No!
Is there someone inside you?
Sometimes.
I'm speaking to the person inside of Reagan now. Answer me now.
Oh, she grabbed his dick? Patients will do that to you, too. You can always cover that. We had one that always tried to kick the male staff right in the nuts. So glad I got paid under $10 an hour for that job.
What's this all about?
Yeah, it's true. You do look like a boxer.
Father, what do you know on the subject of witchcraft?
You read how he died.
On a fall.
With his head turned completely around, facing backwards.
Didn't happen in the fall?
It's possible.
Unlikely.
Exactly.
You think the killer and the desecrator are the same? Looks like the type of disorder that's rarely ever seen anymore, except in primitive cultures. One outside chance for a cure. Shock treatment. As I said, it's a very outside
Shock
What you
treatment?
just named it, for God's sake.
Have you ever heard of exorcism? Much discarded these days, except by the Catholics who keep it as sort of an embarrassment.
That's not true. Even today, it's not true.
Victims' belief in possession is what helped cause it. Some make it disappear.
If you put this in Reagan's bedroom, I want you to tell me. Now, did you?
I don't know, lady, at this point, you might as well go for it.
It's strange. Deceased was killed and then pushed from your daughter's room. So how can this be? If certain British doctors never asked what is this fungus, we wouldn't today have penicillin, correct?
Got her there.
Checkmate. Wow. Don't like that.
Lick me! Lick me!
Oh. Ooh. It's like one of those recalled dressers we saw.
From IKEA.
Ugh.
You know what she did?
Oh, don't like that. That is, you don't get much more blasphemous than that. Especially having a child, like a little girl doing that. There's so many elements that I'm uncomfortable with. The blasphemy, the little girl being the one doing it.
Harvard, Bellevue, Johns Hopkins,
Yeah, nice.
places like that. How did they get an exorcism? Get him into a time machine and get him back to the 16th century.
I didn't get you.
I've never met one priest who has performed an
Yeah,
exorcism.
very rare. There's usually like a couple of select ones. They have to be, I think, officially approved by the Vatican.
Father Karras is my little girl.
Church, before it approves an exorcism, conducts an investigation and see.
Yeah,
if it's
that's another
warranted.
thing,
That
too.
takes time. I could see her as a psychiatrist, but I can't
Oh,
see
not
her.
a psychiatrist. She needs a priest.
Oh.
Hello.
Oh.
Loosen the straps.
That voice.
I'm afraid you might hurt yourself, Reagan. I'm Damien Karras.
And I'm the devil. Now kindly undo these straps.
Where's Reagan?
In here with us.
Us.
Yeah, helping old altar boy, Father.
Your mother's in here with his card. You like to leave a message?
Oof.
If that's true.
I like this guy. Oh!
Oh.
Yeah, you're gonna need to stand a few feet back when you talk to her from now on. I'm gonna call the Vatican.
I need evidence that the church would accept it. Like her speaking in a language she's never known or studied.
What else?
Doesn't say she's a demon. She says she's the devil himself. That's the same thing as saying you're Napoleon Bonaparte.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that thing upstairs isn't my daughter.
Like, I gotta get a new job.
Yeah, so you know what? This is some thankless crap I do.
Reagan know a priest was coming over?
No.
Did you know my mother died recently? Is Reagan aware of it?
Why'd you ask?
The new and everlasting covenant.
The blood of the new and everlasting covenant. The mystery of faith.
You okay,
An
Basti?
excellent day for an exorcism.
Oof. Ooh, she's looking rough.
It would bring us together.
Priest?
Did you do that?
Do it again.
In time. Mirabile dictu, don't you agree?
Was that Latin?
You speak Latin.
Ego te absolvo.
How long are you planning to stay in Reagan?
Until she rots and lies stinking in the earth.
Oh, it burns! Oh! Sorry.
Falcon's freaking me out. Falcon's staring at me. You know, dogs can see things, right? Maybe there's something messing with us. What are you looking at, Falcon?
Oh,
See her?
buttercup.
Look at her.
Falcon, stop your freaking out, Daddy.
It was tap water, it wasn't real. But the Latin thing.
Mm-hmm.
So she was speaking backwards in English?
I'll be right there.
Let's cut that light on. Oh. Yeah, let's go ahead and get some people involved.
You're convinced that it's genuine?
Yeah.
Might be best to have a man of experience. How about Lancaster Marin?
Oh, guys.
Ooh.
You okay, boss? The box art of the poster for the movie. That right there. Those eyes. Those horrible yellow eyes.
Honor to meet you, Father.
Why do I recognize him?
And gather up a cache
And another stuff.
We may ask what is relevant, but anything beyond that is dangerous. We'll also mix
Lies with the truth.
Meanwhile, she's just knitting.
I mean, this would be a being that has so much experience.
They say there seem to be three. She's convinced that
There's only one.
I mean, even biblically, there'd be legions in one. That's not how, but I hear what he's saying. All right, come on, let's do this.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I bet she smells like ass right now.
You know this guy?
You mother worthless sucker.
Be silent!
I'm there with you. Yeah, we ain't playing around anymore. There he is. Keep going. My guy's professional.
Forgive those who trespass against us. God is my helper. The Lord sustains my life.
I like this priest. No nonsense.
Your mother sucks cocks in hell, Karis, you faithless slime.
Lord, hear my prayer. Karis.
Come on, Father Karras.
To tramp underfoot serpents and scorpions. Grant
Ooh.
me
That's right.
confront this cruel demon. See the cross of the Lord. Begone, you hostile power. I cast you out! In the name of Lord Jesus Christ, lives and reigns with the Father and the Holy Spirit. Damien!
Come on, Damien.
Amen.
Sandra!
You left her alone to die. Shut up!
Damien.
Keep it cool.
I command you to depart from the servant of God that compels you. The
Power of Christ compels.
compels you. The power of Christ the power of Christ compels you.
Oh.
The blood of the martyrs commands you.
Yeah. All of them. Come on, Father. We're not done yet.
Let's rest before we start again.
Damon's gotta quit putting his back to her. Oh, this is rough.
All right, guys, come on, get it together.
Oh.
Why you do this to me?
Oh, man.
Please, Timmy. Basta crevatis.
You're not my mother! Don't listen. Get out.
Is it over?
No. Oh. What? Oh, what?
It's up to you, Guy. Come on, Damien.
She killed him?
Son of a bitch!
Relax, David.
Take me! Come into me!
Uh-oh. He just gave permission, my guy. He's gonna throw himself out the window. Oh. Jeez.
Do you want to make a confession? He wrote to himself and the Mother was to
She doesn't remember any of it.
That's probably for the best.
Right?
Hi, Father.
Hello.
We're gonna start going to church pretty aggressively from now on.
I thought you'd like to keep this.
Okay.
You did!
Yeah, alright.
You feel better now?
Yeah, I've seen scarier stuff for sure.
I knew you'd be fine.
I know, I'm too jaded from everything else I've been exposed to.
Power of Christ compels you.
Ooh.
All right, so we just finished The Exorcist. I know Holden was tense the entire time. I could feel it in the room. So what did you think of the movie?
All right, well, overall, I did enjoy it. I'm glad that we watched it. Pretty much as I expected. It wasn't as scary to me now as, you know, it was to me then. I don't know what to say about it. I'd been dreading watching it for so long, so I'm glad that kind of got it out of the way. I think the visual images I had that had scared me was the majority of like the scary things in the movie. The head turning thing and the levitating thing I had seen prior, either just at my old house or online. I really liked the psychiatrist priest guy. I like how it was a story of not only the girl being possessed, but also kind of about him struggling with his faith as well as a priest and that. I really liked the priest that was at the very beginning of the movie in Iraq and who comes at the very end, and then I wish they would have shown how he died or what happened there. But I really liked just how like sternly focused he was doing the exorcism. So I loved that. I thought Linda Blair was absolutely fantastic. Super scary, that girl was. Holy cow. We mentioned during the actual reaction that the scene like where she's taking the cross and like penetrating herself, I feel like was one of those scenes to try to rile up the audience to show just how offensive this demon is and just how blasphemous it is. I guess the equivalent of their day and age trying to be edgy for the audience, and it was pretty grotesque and it did its job. It made me uncomfortable. I didn't like that at all. So I enjoyed it.
Well, good. I'm glad. You did a really great job. This movie is terrifying. I really like the style of it being kind of a slow burn. A majority of the movie is just kind of exploring the main characters and their relationships and kind of getting inside their minds. So I really do enjoy that part because the actual scenes with her being possessed are full on. So it really does feel like a majority of the movie is intense, even though we have a short time with her actually going through this exorcism. I also agree, I think that they were capitalizing on kind of the shock value of some of the things she was saying and some of the things that she was doing. So I think at that time, this was really I guess I'm gonna go with a historical type of movie. I feel like it's the first time they really edged out into that type of material. So I give them props for that, During the 70s, that took guts. So the fact that they were willing to go there and it be uncomfortable for people, I think is great. You know, it really just amps up that scare factor and being uncomfortable and being scared and not liking it, but liking it. So I think it's really great. And I agree, she did a great job. You know, I can't help but see the demon face even when she's normal. Like, Linda Blair will always be recognized for that. I thought it was great. I think it's always gonna be a classic horror film and I really, really enjoy it. I really liked Damien. He was probably my favorite character. He obviously was dealing with his own internal turmoil and honestly just trying to do the right thing, you know? He saw how much that mother was in pain, how much her daughter was in pain. Because there was numerous times where he mentioned like he doesn't fully believe that it's I don't even know what the term would be.
A demon?
Taking over this little girl's body. You know, there's a couple times where he alluded to like he didn't necessarily believe it 100%, but he did feel like that was appropriate because there was a couple things that he noticed. I also like that at the ending of this movie, it's not a happy ending at all. Going into it, you really think they're gonna be able to exorcise the demon, everything is gonna be fine, but that's not what happens, you know? One of the priests dies while trying to perform the exorcism, and then the other one sacrifices himself, I'm guessing. I guess you could interpret that a couple different ways. He ended up dying as well. So not a happy ending, but I love that. I love that it's a very, if this is real world, that's just how it happens sometimes. So I appreciate that. I think it's always gonna be a scary movie, even if it doesn't give me the type of scare where I'm like scared to go to bed at night, because God knows I've seen a couple of movies, especially in the last like week or two, where I was a little scared to go to bed. But this is a different type of horror. It's more of like a psychological horror and you're terrified just to look at her. I never saw the follow-up Exorcist films. I don't know if they're any good, but I would be curious to check those out. I don't know if I would do that with Holden, because we already put him through enough.
No, I feel like I could watch sequels fine.
Yeah, you did okay?
Well, yeah, I think it was just this movie specifically. I think I could watch 2, 3, whatever, and not be a big deal.
I'm glad that you liked it. I'm glad that you got through it okay. What would you rate this film?
A couple other things, you know, I really liked the way they dealt with, is this really even a demon or is this really requiring an exorcism? As a person who believes in God and therefore believes in spirituality, but also having a degree in psychology, having worked in a psychiatric facility, I would agree with the doctors and the other priests in the movie who are like, this is very rare. This is mental illness, it's schizophrenia, it's different types of psychosis, because I have personally experienced that firsthand. I have been personally involved with that. So I've seen probably hundreds, maybe even thousands of patients through my years working there, different types of paranoia. I've had people straight up say, I'm Jesus Christ, and like really believe that. I was abducted by aliens. I've heard it and seen it all. In my experience working there, there's only been probably a handful of times, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but there was something about certain patients that just the hairs like would stick up. And I've seen different types of violence, I've seen different types, you know, I've seen that all, but there was a couple that I was pretty convinced. I was like, I think there's something else going on that's beyond psychosis, just in my experience. I like that they presented it as, we're not just gonna go arbitrarily perform an exorcism because you think that there's something going on. There needs to be evidence for it. And one of the things I thought of was like, well, what is the biblical evidence or historical evidence for exorcism? One of them was speaking in a known language that the person would not know. I was like, that's a pretty good sign. And so when she started doing that, I was like, that's it right there, she's doing it. I feel like anybody worth their weight in spiritual salt sometimes has to question, where is the line between rationale and spirituality? Am I spiritual or am I being religiously fanatic? Am I being rational? And can I be rational and just ignore it? It's never, ever, under any circumstances, anything spiritual. It's under no circumstance. Is that rational? And I think it's hard to, in a case like this, to be a rational person and be like, maybe, is this a demon? Because what are the implications? So I really liked it. It's gonna be a reflective one, I think, especially considering this was a traumatic one that I had in my childhood. Viewing it as a film, narrative story, I felt like there was a lot of stuff that wasn't really necessary. The daughter's mother, for example, being like this actress, and maybe some of the stuff that was leading up to it. I know that the guy was in Iraq and he saw the statue and it sort of alluded that that was the demon or was somehow related to the demon, and then it concluded with him. But I thought that there was some stuff in the middle that it was just kind of there to be there. As a movie, you know, as terrifying as this for me, I'd probably say this was probably about a 9. This was pretty good. I don't know if I'll be watching it again anytime soon, but so I enjoyed it.
It's always gonna be a classic in my mind, and I think that it was one of the first like really terrifying movies that was in its own category. You know, it really can't be compared with anything else at this time. So I think I'm gonna go with an 8.5. It was pretty scary. Some things that I felt like they didn't really explain enough or touch on enough, but I think overall it was a fantastic film, truly terrifying, and it still holds up to today. I mean, this was 73, so this was years and years and years ago. And everybody, I'm sure, watches this on Halloween, so I think it's a fantastic film. So I'm gonna go with 8.5.
Your perspective of the ending, I agree with. I think that the priest basically sacrificed himself. He invited the demon or whatever to come into him, and then killed himself. I related that to, in the Bible, Jesus sees a possessed man and he casts the demon out into a swine of pigs, and the pigs jump off a cliff and kill themselves. So I thought that was either a callback or in reference to that. And then you have, conveniently, the other priest that was there that saw his body like on the ground, and he like absolves the priest of his sins and wrongdoings, essentially saying, you know, you're saved, you're good, you're gonna die, but you're gonna go to heaven or be at peace or whatever. I interpreted the ending the same way.
But that'll do it for today. If you like this video, like, comment, or subscribe. You can also head over to Patreon. There's a lot of stuff on there. Full reactions, polls for what we're gonna do next, exclusive live streams, all sorts of stuff. That'll do it for today, and we'll see you guys next time.
An excellent day for an exorcism.
But wouldn't that drive you out of Reagan?
It would bring us together.
Captain Harris.